Okay, who remembers what my mission is, my business mission? 2 to 3 deals a month. And what's the other part of it?
10 to 20,000 in retirement. 15 to 20,000.
15 to 20,000 a month in passive income. Not everybody remembered that, but how come you remembered that? It's easy. It's repetitive because I keep saying it, right? Is that important when it comes to your goals? And it's also measurable. Like if I can do 2 to 3 a month. Now, just because I don't hit my goal, does it mean that I failed? Yes. You can think that way and then you won't do it again. That's the problem we have sometimes when we feel like we've failed at something or we can't succeed. How many of you have heard that about our kids nowadays? They get a trophy for everything and they always have to get an A even if they don't deserve an A or something like that. But when we remind ourselves of what we're trying to accomplish, it's measurable and it's something that we can strive for and not get down on us if we don't quite make it, but that's constantly on our mind. We're going to meet those goals much better than if we're just like, I'm just doing the best I can. How many of you feel that way? I'm just doing the best I can. Today's a new day. I'm going to get through it. You stay really busy. How many of you feel like you stay really busy and you're good at staying busy, but you're not really sure if what you're doing is actually the right thing? Have you ever felt that way? Like, yeah, I'm really good at staying busy. I have no idea if I'm actually doing something that's worthwhile all the time. And I'm jumping around all over the place trying to get things done, tasks done. But I hope that it eventually meets the goals that I'm trying to make. But if I don't know what those are, if I don't clearly define them, if I don't basically help my mind and my body be prepared for what it is that I'm trying to accomplish, it's going to be a lot harder to make those things happen. So over the last 7 weeks, I've taught you hopefully a lot of cool stuff. And it probably made you feel like, oh my gosh, I've got all this other stuff I need to do. Anybody feel that way? Now I've got a whole heap of stuff. I kind of use the example of the Hawaiian haystack. Have you ever gone to one of those Hawaiian buffets and you just keep piling the food on top and it becomes a big haystack, right? Not that there's anything bad about that. I try not to eat that much. But the thing is sometimes it just gets overwhelming and you lose kind of the sight and value of being able to be more precise and more intentional about what it is that you want to do or what you want to eat in that case. So what I want to teach you today is how to take all these ideas that I've given you and put it into a very actionable plan. So in my opinion, this is actually the best class of all the classes. But I had to get you to a point that you could be ready to do that because what you deliver, the service that you offer, is what's going to set you apart from all the other agents that are out there. I hope you believe that. I mean, I know that what you do beyond just the basic stuff we talk about and I even make fun of, the opening doors and putting signs in yards and all the transactional stuff. There's a lot of depth to that our clients don't know about. How many of your clients know even a fraction of what you actually do, right? And then you're also doing things like counseling and talking people off cliffs and talking the other side off cliffs or trying to get a hold of the other agent to try to get them to do what they're supposed to do. We do a lot of behind the scenes work that most people don't see, but we have to be able to provide a service that distinguishes us from our competition if we want to stand out and not just be out there doing a hustle that basically gets us deals because we're the first person to contact that person, right? Have you heard that before where if you're a good salesperson, what's the number one way to get a sell? Be the first person to talk to that person that's going to buy, right? And then you keep doing it until they're ready to buy. But that kind of hustle can be a little bit annoying for you and for that person, right? How many of you get 100 emails a day that you don't even open and just delete them? I must get at least that many, right? How many of you get phone calls? I can't tell you how many times, if I answer the phone and I don't recognize the number, as an agent, we still answer the phone. How many of you still answer your phone? Don't recognize the number. If there's any sort of beep or pause in there, I hang up because I know pretty quickly that what? It's some robocall, right? Because they have that, there's that little, they'll get better at it so it won't be that way. Or the silly things they say to kind of keep you on the phone. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that, yes, everyone is going to revert to hustle in order to do well in sales. But I sincerely believe that when you position yourself as an agent of value that's very different and separates you from all the other the other competition that's out there, that is hustling. That not only can you get the amount of business that you want, those 2 to 3 deals every single month, but you'll get referred more often. You'll get the business that you want. Many of you that are veteran agents that get a lot of SOI business and referral business, it's most likely because of all those years you put in to do the things that people value, and they spread the word for you, and then you get business from that. I mean, I look at Mark Fay, and that's where he is in his business right now. Was it like that, Mark, when you first started? No. How many years did it take you to build that up? About five or 6 years, right? And you probably did a lot of hustling during that time in order to get that business, right? And then after that, was it just easy selling?
No.
Yeah, what happened after that?
You had to work. I mean, this whole business you have to work your ass off.
Yeah.
There's no coasting.
Yeah, there's no coasting ever. Yeah. And there's always a bit of hustle that's needed and grit and stuff that has to go into it, because if you want to grow your business, there's always a new, there's this new business you have to bring in to supplement the business that's kind of there that you create within your SOI.
I had 4 or 5 clients leave the state, so.
Yeah, all of a sudden they're you lose a big business. It's interesting if you've been in this industry for a while, and I've talked to many agents that do a lot of business, they might have a core set of clients that are buying consistently and referring to them consistently. That's the love that we have of this SOI business, that can happen. Yeah.
Or you have their kids get their real estate license,
And then that just takes it all away. They're going to give all the business to the kids. Yeah. I talked to an agent just this last week as we were talking about his business and how devastating it was to lose a client. That client, it's probably been about 5 or 10 years at least of business with them, over 50 properties. It was an investor that had bought from them. And I think it was his daughter that got her license, and he's lost all that business, right? But the thing is that just because his daughter got a license, went to the 120 hours and learned how not to go to jail for the most part and basic transactional stuff, you'd think that this client would associate the value that other agent brought him was so much better and different than what the daughter could bring that just barely got her license. I mean, I understand the loyalty we have to family, but one of the best books I've read, I'm listening to right now, so I'm going to show you a few books as we go through this. How many of you have heard of this book here, Tax-Free Wealth? If you haven't, please put that on your Audible list or your book list if you like to read. Really, really good book. This is the CPA for, I forgot his name, the Rich Dad, Poor Dad author. This is his CPA. Kiyosaki? I don't want to say it because I'm afraid I'm going to say it wrong. Huh? Robert Kiyosaki. Thank you. I was going to butcher that name if I just tried. It was like at the tip of my tongue. But what a great book it is, because not all CPAs are created equal, right? How many of you use a CPA? Right? How many of you pay as little in taxes as you possibly can? And you don't do it because you're trying to, go into loopholes or, possibly get audited. You do it because, I don't know if you know this, and that's what I love about this book, is that taxes were written so that the way that they're written or legislated is so that we can actually do the things that the government would like us to do to get subsidies and to get discounts on our tax. Did you know that 95% of the tax law is actually written to reduce your taxes, not to get you to pay more taxes? Most people don't know that. Just like when we've talked to you about equity and home equity and how to tap into that. Most people have, right now in the United States, what's the average equity that an average U.S. homeowner has right now?
400.
About 300,000. In net worth, they have 400,000. You know what the average net worth is for a renter? $10,000. Yeah. But there's all these things that we don't quite understand about taxes, about what other things? About law, about real estate. Tons of things that we don't quite understand about real estate. Even as agents, sometimes we don't understand a lot about real estate. And until we go deeper and help our clients do things beyond just the transaction, we are just glorified transaction coordinators. I hate to say that, and I think most agents out there are glorified transaction coordinators. Right? And many of them have done really well in terms of making money because they've hustled. They've really gotten out there in front of people and learned how to either take leads that are coming in from different sources and convert those leads into buyers, but typically they're working all the time. When someone says they want to go look at a house, they're showing them that house right now. It doesn't matter if it's dinner time with my family. It doesn't matter if I'm on vacation, I got to send somebody else out there. Anybody feel like that this business, a lot of times for those that are the most successful, are the ones that hustle the most, right? In my opinion, I would like to provide a level of value that then they respect my time and respect what I offer beyond the transaction. And that's what we like to teach here at Captivate, right? That's what I believe in. Now, I used to do a lot of the hustling stuff. I used to teach teams how to convert and how to basically work like an inside sales team, right? And manage things that way, even in real estate. But as time went on and I started to value my time with my family more, and I started to value what I could offer people that they wanted beyond just getting that house under contract, getting the door opened or the sign in the yard and the house up on the MLS, I realized, wow, there's so much more I can do or so much more I can offer, right? Just like maybe a CPA, I can get my license and I can do people's taxes, right? I can ask you questions about your taxes, right? And put it on a form. Isn't that what we do a lot of, right? We put information on forms of things that people want to do, and we understand the form well enough that we can give some advice, kind of like a tax accountant could do that. But my tax accountant actually gives me advice well before I do my taxes in terms of how to manage my expenses and how to minimize my taxes. He saves me a ton of money every single year in the way that I've structured my business. How many of you have an LLC? How many understand the difference between an S corp and a C corp and all the different options that are there? So I have my business structured in a way that I actually pay very little in taxes compared to what most people are paying because I have a great CPA. So I'm using that as an example. As a real estate agent, you can position yourself as someone that brings more to the table than just hustle, more to the table than just availability, right? More to the table than even just some good sales techniques, but really getting deep into the heart and soul of what owning real estate is. We talked about that passive income piece. How do you make passive income as a real estate agent unless you have a brokerage that offers maybe a 401k or rev share opportunity? How else can an agent make good passive income? Rental properties. How many of you have rental properties and do flips? I mean, honestly, I have not spoken to a real estate agent that makes more than a six-figure salary, and that's where we all want to be, right? That isn't also a rental property investor. Because honestly, that's one of the best ways to retire as a real estate agent, and you come across properties all the time that are opportunities. I'm flipping a house right now because I came across a property that someone just wanted to sell. They just wanted to let it go. They didn't want to do anything to it. And I tried to convince them, there's things you could do to this house to maximize its value. I picked up the property for $700,000. Compliantly, legally, don't worry. I didn't, put myself in a position where I try to take advantage of them, but I let them know exactly what I was intending to do. I did about $80,000 to $90,000 of improvements. I'm putting it on the market this week, and I'll send it out to you if you'd like to see it, for $915,000. I'll make about $100,000. And I didn't do any of the work. I hired other people to do it. I spend about 5 hours a week because of all my other responsibilities. And as people that make good money usually have multiple sources of income, right? So rental properties can be one. I do some flips as well. And then I do real estate. And then I have this program, this Captivate program. And I enjoy what I do. So I do work a lot, but I enjoy it. And so it brings fulfillment. I also have a family, and I have 4 kids, 3 of them in college. There's so much going on in my life, and it's so rich and fun, and I love it, right? But it also can be very profitable as well as meaningful. And that's what I would like to help you to accomplish. That's where I feel like your job as a real estate agent doesn't have to just be about hustle, doesn't have to be about just making a lot of money or trying to get to that point where you make a lot of money. It should be fulfilling in every way possible. So today, as I go through how to pull all of this together into a plan that you, of course, can modify in any way that you need to or feel like is important to you, I hope that what I can share with you today helps you to finally put together, or for some of you, maybe refine it a little bit more, of what you do each day, each week, each month, how you understand what your goals are and what you want to accomplish in every aspect of your life, not just work. Sound all right? Are we excited about this? I'm so excited about it. This is my favorite part. So how many of you have a morning routine? Good. Did you know you all do? If you think about it, don't you do pretty much the same thing every morning? We are creatures of habit. We basically do the same things every single day, whether it's intentional or it's not. So what I want to teach you, and just we even do it with work, is how to be more intentional. So I'm going to go through this really quick because we have so much to go through. I did hand out to you this handout right here, so I'm going to use this a little bit as we go through it. Let's see where to put that. In terms of your closings, I need to know what I want to do, so I need to put it down on paper. I need to put it not only on paper, but I need it to kind of be embedded in my mind, in my psyche, in my subconscious, because I want to make sure that every choice that I make each day leads to what I'm really trying to accomplish, that I'm not just wandering around out there just hoping for the best. Do anybody ever feel like you do that? Does anybody ever feel like I'm trying to do my best, and I really feel like I'm working hard, but sometimes I just don't know what the heck I'm doing or why I'm doing it, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. That's human nature, but wouldn't it be nice to feel a little bit more confident and just a little bit more intentional about those things that we're doing, right? So one thing that I can control, absolutely control, because there's a lot that I can't, right? But one thing I can control is what? Yeah, my morning and that, right? My morning I can control. Now, for some of you that have young kids, you might have to get up really early, because once the kids are up, how much of that control do you lose? Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you have to find out when that time is that you wake up in the morning. I have a morning routine, and I even have a bedtime routine, right? I have both, because I know if I don't get enough rest or enough sleep in the morning, I could be more irritable or just tired and lazy and just don't feel like, jumping in and doing the things that I know I need to do. So I have those routines in place. Without those routines, I would be all over the place. Like, as far as my sleeping routine is, I remember college. Anybody, if you ever had those times where you did all-nighters? Anybody remember those days? Whether you're in college or not. Remember the young days where you do all-nighters with your friends and stuff like that? And then as I got older, I never just felt like I had a bedtime. I just kind of went to bed when I got tired. And then if I stayed up really late one night and I got tired, I'd go to bed early the next night and try to make up for it, which it doesn't work that way. Did you know that? Just doesn't work that way. So I guess what I want to impress on you is that your morning routine and your bedtime routine is a big part of how successful you will be, even in your business. So find out what is important to you. Identify those things that you want to accomplish and be proud of it. It can be about your volume, the money that you make, as well as about all the other things that are important to you. But know that everything that you do and everything that you are intentional about can lead to that or distract from it. Okay? So I exercise every morning. I do a meditation. I learned about meditation when I read a book by Shirzad Shamin. I think I've shared this with some of you, called Positive Intelligence. I did not realize, because I always thought, I was never a big fan of self-help books. I have to say that. I apologize for those of you that like self-help books. I always thought they were cheesy, corny, or I don't know. I just didn't get into them. And then I read this book by Shirzad Shamin about positive intelligence and realized that as we have an IQ, we also have an EQ. You heard that? What's an IQ stand for? An intelligent quotient. It's scientific. What's an EQ stand for? An emotional quotient. And do you know what PQ stands for? A lot of people don't know this. There's actually a positivity quotient. There's actually a quotient that is measurable that teaches, well, you can actually teach and learn about it, but that actually has to do with how positive you are. How many of you know people that it seems like, not that they're blissfully optimistic, but they really are able to see the glass half full more than the glass half empty? But you also have other people out there that, like, the glass is always half empty or mostly empty. Like, there's this sense of how we approach our challenges as well as our triumphs. And I'm not saying that we should be, high up and down emotionally, but staying positive is a really important part of being able to take the next best step forward. And as weird as it sounded at the time, is I never understood that box breathing, or the breathing and meditation and mindfulness activities actually were ways of exercising your brain. We have frontal lobes that really have a lot to do with our creativity, our innovation, our ability to connect and create a really rich life. On the back of our brain stem, we have this fight or flight. I need to turn off my phone or something. I'm just getting buzzed like crazy. Sorry about that. This fight or flight mechanism. And it's there because it's trying to protect us. It's really fine and nothing necessarily wrong with it, but we're not really needing it as much as we seem to get hit with it. How many of you feel like something is said or something is done and you're like reading into it 100 other things that wasn't said or done, and all of a sudden you're either spiraling down or in some way you can spiral up. And that's what positivity is about. So again, with
I don't understand.
will someone take this away from me?
She doesn't have a good
Yeah, exactly. So again, without getting too deep into this, because we don't have a lot of time, I do want to impress on you that you need to take time to take care of yourself. And if you don't take care of yourself, how are you going to take care of others? Does that make sense? And so please, really be intentional about how you care for yourself. That exercise in the morning, the meditation that I do, my goal review each day. So in this packet that I'm going to go through with you is a one-page goal sheet. Part of my morning routine is that I have that hanging up in my closet where I get dressed. And it's only one page. How many of you make goals once a year? It's coming up to do the goals. And you do it because you're supposed to, or some coach told you to do it, or your broker told you to do it. And you get all excited and you write things down and you're like, I'm just making shit up. I'm making stuff up. And, you're thinking, but it sounds good. It feels good. I'm going to do it. And then it goes somewhere. You don't even see it for the rest of the year. You kind of try to think about it every now and then. I put mine in a one-page goal sheet and I hang it up in my closet. And part of my morning routine as I get dressed is, guess what? I read it out loud, even to the point where I have it memorized. I mean, I can get dressed and I'm saying it as it's sitting there, but I read it out loud to myself. Now, why do I do that? Actually, I don't even know why it works the way that it does. Maybe you two probably understand it better than I do because that's your field of study in some way. But there's some serendipitous or divine intervention. There's something about our physiology that when we remind ourselves over and over what we want to accomplish, even when we don't think about it, the decisions we make, kind of our subconscious sneaking up on us when we do things, lead us towards the thing that we want to do because we keep reminding ourselves of it. Yeah.
Well, and the more senses you use when you're seeing that goal, so you're reading, you're verbalizing, like the more it actually impounds and ingrains in you.
Yeah.
And when you see it, believe it, dream it, I think those are when it happens, when you really do jump into it as if you already have it.
Yeah. I mean, it almost feels like this is beyond the physical realm of what we're in, but I don't know. It's just weird when I'll meet people and it'll be right in line with what my goals are because I keep reminding myself, but I didn't intentionally go out to try to meet this specific person. It just happened that way. Like, how many of you have had things where they just kind of lined up for you in a way you're like, wow, I mean, I couldn't have planned it better. You've ever said that to yourself before and it just worked out that way. So for me, my morning routine helps to, yeah, exactly. My morning routine does that for me and it helps me to do that. So even to the point that I wrote this book about it that I told you about. If you want to figure out how to build a routine that you don't want to have to figure it out all yourself. It took me years to figure out what I felt like was what I needed to do in order to look and feel and act, as best as I possibly could. And because I love it so much, I put it into a book. I'll share a quick story. I don't want to take too much time, but so I'll be 58 in 2 weeks, or is it 2 weeks or next week? 2 weeks. I think it's 2 weeks. And a lot of people are surprised at my age, at 58, they find out you're 50. Just yesterday I was talking to someone.
58 or 78?
Yeah, something like that, yeah. No, I had someone yesterday said, I thought you were in your 30s, but I don't get that very often. But I do get 40s, like that a lot, something like that. It's part of it, of course, is genetics, but I'm very intentional about the way that I care for myself, right? My dad was, I hate to say it, because my son's right here. He's passed since, but he had a belly so big you could put a glass on it, it'd be a little table for himself. And I was very aware of even from a young age of what being healthy was, or at least that I thought. We have heart issues in our family. So about, I was 51, so that's 6-7 years ago. I was at a CrossFit gym close to where we live, and I was doing a workout, and they have these these 3-part training sessions. You know what I'm talking about? This what do they call that? The circuit, yeah, like a circuit. So we were doing a run outside. It was in November, about this time of year. So it was an early November weekend or week. And I was running outside 5 o'clock or 5:30 in the morning, and then we'd come in and we'd do box jumps, and then we were doing these medicine ball tosses. You ever, know what I'm talking about? And then we just do it as many times as we can over 20 minutes. And we have a little bit of a warm up and a cool down, and I was doing that, and I'm out breathing this cold air because it's 5:30 in the morning on a November morning. I get home and my chest is just, I can feel this pressure in my chest. If you breathe in a lot of cold air. So it's like, I took a shower, I went and laid down, and the pressure just got worse. And it was just like right on my chest, right? And then it started to go into my arm. And I was like, oh, what does that mean? And our family does have heart issues, but I get checked all the time. I don't have any of the underlying, high blood pressure, cholesterol, any of those type of issues. So I'm all good. But I had this thought. My wife was getting dressed and she's getting ready to leave. And I just asked her, I was like, hey, could you grab me a couple aspirin? And just the thought, I don't know why I thought it, but I was like, could you grab me a couple aspirin? And so she did, and I felt a little better after that. So I went ahead and got dressed, went to get my car, and I was about to go to work. And I just had this feeling, this thought, I need to go to the clinic, and the pressure was still there, right? So I went to the clinic. It was about 5 minutes to 8, so the clinic opens at 8 o'clock, but it was open. So I walk inside, and I'm like, I just feel this pressure on my chest. Now, I didn't know this because I guess I wasn't looking in the mirror, but the lady at the front desk, when I went back and talked to her, said, you were clammy and sweaty. And so they rushed me back into this room and they started drilling me with questions. I'm like, oh yeah, my dad died of a heart attack. My grandfather died at 42 of a heart attack. My mom has I started saying that. So they're freaking out. And I'm just like, I wonder why my chest hurts. That's what I was thinking. I was just laying there. And so they call an ambulance to come in. They put me in the back of the ambulance. They're rushing me to Timpanogos Hospital. And I'm sitting there back there still in complete denial. They're putting nitroglycerin under my tongue and, every 5 minutes, checking that. I didn't know about all these things until I later learned about it. And they're going over the median, and on the side of the road, there's two guys driving. One's on the radio talking about bringing in a cardiac arrest person. And there's the one guy giving me nitroglycerin. The other one has defibrillator paddles ready, like standing there ready, right? And I'm still thinking, what the heck is going on here? There's like, this is not right? There's something wrong here, right? And luckily, my life didn't, flash before my eyes. First, I was in total denial. And the other, I was like, okay, the house is paid off. I've got good insurance. We're good financially. So I guess if this is it, But at the same time, I was like, this is no way. So I get to the hospital. They throw me on this big metal table. Looks like a cafeteria table, Wasn't comfortable whatsoever. Not that they were thinking about comfort. And I wasn't really either because the pressure was getting pretty heavy. And so there's a doctor up on this pedestal. I don't know if you've ever seen this, and there's a big screen in front of, that he's looking at because they put a dye in me and he's able to see all the veins in my body. They even gave me the video of this thing. It was kind of cool. And I had 90% blockage in my left anterior artery, which is called the widowmaker. And if I would have gone to work, I would have died, right? That would have been it. They just brought something up my arm. No open heart surgery nowadays. It was pretty cool. They just, exactly. And they gave me 2 stents, one in the main artery and one in the branch off the side. Can you believe that, right? That would happen. I spent 3 days in the ICU, bored to death because I'd never felt so good in like years because I felt great. I was actually getting blood to my body, or something. But it was a clot that had dislodged. And then we found out that it's something that has to do with our family, genetics. And I take some medicine that now hardens the little bit of plaque that I have because I don't have excess plaque or anything like that, but it keeps it from dislodging is what happens in that thing. The really sad thing is that my brother, my youngest brother, he's 51, 2 days ago, he died earlier last year. Yeah. He was up on the mountain, looks as healthy and young. I mean, they thought that he looks like he's in his 20s almost still. He's up on the mountain, snowboarding at Snowbird, healthy as can be, and just falls over and dies. We don't know how long our lives are, right? We just don't know. And although I'm really sad, sorry, getting a little sad just talking about it, that those things happen. My dad's also passed away, and they are next to each other in the community that I live in the cemetery there. But what I will say, though, is that life is beautiful. Death is sad, but there's still beauty in terms of a whole experience that we have. and our ability to love and enjoy our lives and the lives of the people around us as we work and as we play and as we build relationships. That's what makes life beautiful. And I'll tell you what, that the world that we're in terms of business, of real estate, is one of the most meaningful things that you could be a part of. I mean, it's part of who we are in terms of where our kids grow up and where we live and love, right? And the ability to build and grow wealth through real estate. I mean, there's so much good about it. So congratulations for being in the one industry that I think is the best out there. I mean, there's lots of great industries out there, and we need everybody to do all the different things that they do. But you're in an industry that you have the potential to change people's lives in so many different ways. And it's not just about how much money you make, and it's not just about how well you beat out others or what you can get and things like that. It's about giving. It's about helping. It's about supporting. And the more you think about it in that context, and the more you make it part of who you are from morning till night, the more you'll love what you do and stress less. How many of you feel like you stress a lot? Anybody stress a lot? Yeah. This job can be stressful. Not having a regular paycheck can be stressful, right? Not having good health insurance can be stressful. You know, those things that go along with what we do. But if you put into place the things that will help you succeed, both in life and relationships, as well as in work and those relationships, this can be one of the most beautiful and wonderful things that you do. And I want to help you do that. That's part of my mission. I haven't shared that part of my mission. I talk about the 2 to 3 deals a month. That's what I want to do in terms of my business and the ability to retire with the $15,000 to $20,000 a month in passive income. Definitely, those are my business goals, right? But I have goals in terms of what I want to accomplish in terms of my family and my well-being and things like that. And I hope you do too, right? Please take the time. Read and listen to good books. Be around good people. Be a giver and not a taker. You've heard the book Go Giver. Have you read that one before? All those really wonderful ways that actually open more doors than what you think might be your opportunity to build and grow wealth isn't actually an opportunity to take advantage of other people to do that. It's about helping them, not taking from them, okay? So let's go through your weekly, monthly, and daily intentional efforts. I put an example up here. You all have a copy of it. I'm going to give you a digital copy in Canva. If you don't have one, Jeff's got some more, okay? And so use this as a guide. Do whatever you want, of course, in terms of what that's going to be. But what I'd like to do is emphasize that you're taking care of your body and your mind should come first. Taking care of yourself, okay? So be intentional about that. I would love to just give this to you, but there's a printing cost. If you want the copy of this, I'll give it to you at my cost. So come up afterwards and I'll give it to you. These are all the secrets that I had to come up with since I had that heart attack. And what I did, up until that point, I had really just decided that I would do whatever I could, whenever I could, and however I could with whoever, you know what I'm talking about? That kind of mentality of just, I'm trying to do my best type of thing. Now I'm trying to do my best intentionally. Okay, and that's what that's about in terms of helping take care of myself. So if you'd like to take advantage of that, I did send out to you, if you got it, I have 50 free versions of the Audible. So if you want to get this, I'll give you the Audible for free that you can have if you like to listen. I like to listen to books. And it's, by the way, it's not AI Audible. It's a real person reading the book. I was going to do it myself, but I found a 57-year-old man out in Pennsylvania, and he actually sounded a little bit like me in some way. His cadence is a little slower than I like, but he read the book for me, and then he loved it too. So it was really good to have him talk about it. He'll even text me like, okay, I'm doing my intermittent fasting now, and I'm doing this now. And so it's kind of fun to kind of share those things with other people. And I want you to know that when you figure something out in your life that you value and that means a lot to you, what should you do with it? You should share it. Give it to others. Do what?
Nothing.
You're being sarcastic. 100 of us. Yeah, exactly. This isn't church, by the way. I'm not trying to, yeah. So, but please know that your job as someone that gives and shares, to me, that's what real estate is about. You have a service job, right? You're providing a valuable service to people, and you have a whole lot to give. And I want to help you be able to do that and be successful with that. And I got the great music to go with it. Thank you very much. Okay, so You start your day with your exercise, your meditation, your goal review, if that's what you're going to do. If you want to be precise about it, the last chapter in the book walks you through it. So please, read through that if you'd like to, and this book too might help if you'd like. Then we have our power hour. I want to spend a lot of time today on the power hour. The reason we came up with what we call the power hour is that we found that the intentional effort of prospecting new business is what most agents hate the most. Anybody agree with that? Yeah, even Mark, as successful as he has, his hands go way up. And how long have you been doing this business, Mark? 27 years, and his hand was the highest raised when we talked about prospecting new business. If you do not prospect new business, what don't you have? New business. You don't have business. It's like the blood for your, body. It's like the gas for your car. Nothing's going anywhere if you don't have prospecting new business, right? For some people, it comes more naturally. I remember with Marla, who's back there, just the energy she has, and she just loves it. She's just doing this part-time and already very successful at it because I can tell you get energy from going out and meeting people and talking to people and things like that. And that's a wonderful gift to have. Some of us don't have that. I get that energy when I'm up in front of a group and I'm talking about something that I really care about, but I don't have that energy a lot of times when I'm prospecting new business. Hey, John, it's been a while since we talked and I really want to sell you a house because I need to pay my bills or get my goals done. And people know what we really think inside, even though we don't say it, because we mask what we think inside with what we think they want to hear. You know that? So I don't want your power hour to be about calling a bunch of people and annoying them as you're annoyed doing it. Because honestly, if you're annoyed doing it, guess what they are? They are annoyed too, right? So, but if you don't prospect that business, you don't have it. So you're kind of in this conundrum, this catch-22. If I don't go out and reach out to people, and if I don't make sales calls and things like that, I don't have business. If I do it, I hate it, and so do they. Like, is there a middle ground to that? Is there? You're all looking at me like, please tell me, right? What is that middle ground? Well, I want to share that with you because what we did is we spent a whole bunch of time and money to try to figure out what people want when it comes to real estate. And we've talked about that a little bit. What is it that you want as a buyer and what you want as a seller? And if we can tap into that a little bit more deeply, a little bit more than just the transaction, all of a sudden it opens those doors to the people that we're trying to attract, to actually attract them, not coerce them or sell them, right? So what does it mean when it comes to buying a house? We know that people spend how much time before they actually call an agent thinking about buying or selling property? A year. They spend a year. And when do they finally call you? Yeah, 2 to 3 weeks at the very end of that. So what we need to do is shift that. If you want to be an agent of service, not an agent of transactional availability. And that's what I like to use that, if you want to remember that, transactional availability. How many of you feel like, yeah, if I really narrow down what my job is, it's transactional availability, right? But if we want to be more meaningful, we have to, of course, be available during that transaction when it happens. But if there's more time to plan and support and help those people make the decisions that lead up to that and make better decisions doing that, you are so much more valuable to them. And it's probably a lot more fulfilling for you, in my opinion. So this is what we do during the power hour. So I'm not trying to sell you on doing this, but you need to have some way of managing your people in such a way that you don't have to make a bunch of guesses, that you don't waste that hour. If you could sit down right now for 1 hour and know who to call and what to offer, right? How many of you feel like you could say that? Like I can sit down right now for 1 hour and I know who I can call and what I can offer without annoying them and being bothered myself by it. If you can't say that vigorously, yes, then you're in trouble. And the reason I say you're in trouble is because if you don't know what they want and you start reaching out to them, then it's going to be completely about who wants? You. And if it's about what you want, then it's an annoying sales call. Does that make sense? You have to know what they want. Now, how do you know what they want? We guess a lot, right? And when we guess, it really doesn't become about them, it becomes about us, because we wouldn't be making the call if we didn't want something from it. Remember my story last week about my wife and the chocolate and flowers? If you were if you remember that, where I thought that's what she wanted. I was buying chocolate and flowers for whom? For me. I wanted brownie points, right? And when she told me that she wanted me to help the kids wash the dishes after dinner, and that the dishwasher was there for sanitizing, not just washing the dishes, right? That it didn't matter, because that's what she wanted. And if I can give her more of what she wants, then what happens to our relationship? It's better. And what is my ultimate goal when it comes to the relationship with my wife? That it's better. And it's not just about me giving up all my wants. It's about us giving to each other instead of trying to get from each other, right? And the same thing happens in your business. It really can happen that way. But if you don't have a way of knowing when it comes to the real estate business what people want and when they want it, you're struggling. Because unlike your spouse, if you have a spouse or someone that you're really close to, you're probably not around those people often enough to really know what's going on. Wouldn't it be nice to be in their homes as they start talking about, hey, honey, I'd really like to update our house, or maybe we should buy another house. Or, wouldn't it be nice if we moved over here, or what the kids could go to school over here, or whatever those conversations are. How often do you think those conversations are happening in these homes of the people that we're trying to serve? All the time. Are you there for that? No. When are you there? When they finally call you up and say, I went on Zillow, I found a house that I want to see, and will you show it to me? And if you can't show it to me right now, unless I have some sort of other relationship with you, I'm probably going to call somebody else. Yeah.
I would say that we're not there at all, not even at the end. That's the problem with my business. I'm not part of those conversations, and I'm not thought of at the end. They just, someone else contacts them, or someone else is available, and I didn't even know they were looking.
Yeah. Yeah, you happen to be at the right place at the right time. That's why hustle is important. But I think you're totally right. You finish the transaction, you think, man, I just worked my butt off for that family. They're going to love me for life. And 4 or 5 months later, they can't even remember your name, right? Unless you're a family member or something like that, right? That does happen. When Gary Keller and I can't remember who else wrote the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. Do you remember that? Thank you. Say it out loud. Jay Papasano. Yeah. I couldn't remember that. Yeah, but they wrote a book called The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. It's gone through several revisions. You know what they talked about? They said they even did some research, because they had the 8x8 program, the 32x30. Remember those? Did you ever do those? Yeah. So they sent a group out to knock doors of a neighborhood. And they asked everybody if they had a real estate agent that they would recommend. You know how many of them had a real estate agent that they recommended? There was I think it was like 8 or 12%. Somewhere, it was a very low amount, right? And you would think the way we think about it is, wait, I've been sending a newsletter for every month for the last several years. I've been doing, movie nights and pumpkin harvest, pumpkin patch, events. And I've been, doing listed, sold postcards and all these things that we think that are bringing value to them. And they could not identify that. So you know what they did? They went to a similar neighborhood, and for 8 weeks in a row, they sent out a postcard with a fake real estate agent, a fake picture and a fake name with a phone number that they could call if they wanted to call as part of their research. They mailed it out for 8 weeks. Then they sent the group back out to knock all those doors to ask them if they would recommend a certain agent. 82% of them recommended that fake agent. Wow. So that was their way of saying that really, if you want to be top of mind, which is top of mind marketing, send out a postcard, pick your area, and send out a postcard every 8 weeks, right? And it could work. I don't think it works as well now, but that was way back, in the day that they did that. So here's what I'm going to recommend when it comes to your power hour. So we're going to kind of go through these things. Farming is a big part of it, but I'll show you how to do it in today's technology in a way that brings a little bit more meaning to what you're doing. So the first step is you've got to have some sort of contact management system that sends out information to them and gives information to you to understand when it comes to real estate. So as you can see here, these are just demo people, so they're not real people, I hope not, that are showing up in the database. I can see what's called a lead score, and I have what's called a last touch. And then I'm going to send information that is meaningful to them as they start thinking about real estate. So that when they start thinking about it, I get engaged with them, and they want me to be, because it's going to help them get what they want. Okay, so let me show you this just really quickly. Now tomorrow there's a Thursday, every Thursday, we have a mastermind class. It's a Zoom call, so you don't have to come anywhere. And we have people all over the states that, attend to those or attend those. And we actually go in and show you how to set these things up. So if you're like, oh, I like this, but how do I do it? Then please attend those. And we do it every Thursday, and we have recorded sessions and stuff like that. So I don't want you to feel like, okay, that's a good idea, Mike, but how the heck do I do it? We'll get to that, but I'm just going to show you what this does. So if I come in here, I'm going to come into one person, and I have all this really great information about them. So first of all, I pin to the top FORD in a note. What does FORD stand for? Ford method of communication is family, occupation, recreation, dreams. As you learn things about your people, I want you to put it down it should be on your phone as well as on your computer. When you pull it up, you can get to that information quickly. When it comes to family, you should know not only the client's name, but their spouse's name, their kids' names, their dog's name if they're important. As you learn things about them, because you can't keep this all in your head. It's just impossible. If you haven't read the book, and I'm going to mention a lot of books here, Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, extremely good book. There's even been revisions of it because it was first written in the 50s. Please understand that the most important word in any language is what? Anybody know what that is according to him? Their first name, right? Yes.
I keep trying to stay quiet, but I will tell you, this is where the color code would come in so handy.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you know somebody's motive, that's the difference in the color code than any other personality thing, is if you know their why, then that changes how you address them with it. So because I know Mike's why, I know he's a red. So his personality.
I thought it was purple.
He is about power. He wants to get A to B. So if I went up to him at the beginning and said, oh, I heard this about your family. If I'm going on for a half hour about his family, I just tuned him out from me completely. But if I said, Mike, I know you want information on this property. I'd love to hear about your family vacation at the end of this if you have time, but let me get you this information. I now just spoke his language to him. I just spoke your motive.
Yeah.
And so that just makes a huge difference when you're
Love it.
contacting people.
That just takes it up to a whole new level. I'm going to start at this simple level, but please talk to these two about understanding people's motives and why based on their personality types as well. I like to put information that I learn about them just in general. So I'm not going to take all the information and just drill it back to them. I just want to make sure it's on the top of my mind. How many times have you talked to someone and you want to ask how their spouse is, but you forgot their name? Or, like if I get information from someone, my son just had a soccer tournament in Mesquite, right? And I maybe learned that, someone we talked to learned about it. If I see that person again and they say, hey, how did your son do on that tournament in Mesquite? That tells me that they listen, that they care, that I'm more than just a data set or a client in that sort of sense. So I like to keep that information there. So that's what we built this so you could do that. Adding a color code, maybe we should even have it where they can just pick their color. Wouldn't that be nice?
Color in there,
yeah.
You know that, and we have a CUE course coming out that will teach you how to address each color.
I love that.
Motive, because they'll tell you that motive, so you don't have to be in their home every single day. They tell you your motive, their motive. You know exactly what they are needing.
Love that. Up to a whole new level. So I'm going to take the CE class when it comes out. You should take that class, and we'll send it out. They're going to be a part of our school, so we'll go through that later of where you can get these resources, right? So underneath that, it's going to give me all the things that they have done with the system, with my system. So we built this system. I don't like to call it a CRM because everybody's idea of what a CRM is different, and most of it is only pieces of it. To us, this is a business in a box for a real estate agent. It's everything from end to end throughout all 6 stages of the life cycle, how to help and provide support to our clients, not sales, but support. Most CRMs out there, if they call them that, are really about sales and sales efforts. If I'm out there selling all the time, yeah, I can get business out of it. It's grueling for me and grueling for them. I get my 2 to 3 deals every single month on average, and I spend 5 hours a week doing it, but I let my system do most of my work for me. I don't have to go out there and just call everybody randomly to find out what's going on and hoping that I catch them at the right time in the right mindset of buying property. I'm attracting them to me, but this is how I do it. So I'm letting my system engage with them. So there's things that I do, things that they do, and things that my system does automatically that helps to provide that support and that service. And I wrote these myself as far as all the campaigns go, because the system that we use by itself wasn't done by someone that I felt like was trying to do what I felt was important. And I say I in that, hopefully it's a we thing, because you can rewrite it yourself. But for me, it's about my clients. I want them to receive the kind of service that they value instead of me trying to get business from them, right? Does that make sense? So I have the system doing all these things, and this activity is all logged here. Everything that they do on my system and through my, outreaches and things like that are logged there. It also scores them. Now, as far as the engagement goes itself, when someone is thinking about or wanting to look at properties, I send out property alerts. But it's very sophisticated. I can actually send out a property alert that only shows properties where the master is on the main level, or that it's FHA approved, or that it's a horse property, or that it has RV parking, things like that. Instead of just blasting them with a bunch of generic information, I can get very specific so that I'm not annoying them. I'm actually sending property alerts to people sometimes 6 to 8 months before they actually start to, okay, I want this property. But if I just sent them general information and just bombarded them with a bunch of alerts that didn't have meaning to them, if I didn't know, right, then that annoys them. But how many of you have talked to someone and they're like, yeah, when my son who's at home, he's the youngest, he graduates next year. After that, we're going to probably downsize. Have you ever had anybody say something like that to you? Or all the other many things that are said? And what do we do about that? Maybe we put a note in our database, but we really don't do anything. At that point, I'll ask them. I was like, yeah, that's awesome. Where would you want to live? What kind of place are you thinking about? It's fun conversations for people to start exploring that. I just talked to someone yesterday, actually, that talked about it. She was even explaining the kind of house she wanted. She wants this L shape, might want to build it. And she wants to make sure that it's she has these pockets of areas that she likes, but she's thinking about building it. So I'm sending them land that they could buy, right? And she's already clicking on some of these possibilities of where they could buy the land. Could they buy the land now and then build on it when their son graduates? And so I'm tapping in to aspirations and things that they want, not just transactions. I'm not saying, okay, when you're ready to buy, let me know and I'll be happy to help you. I'll send you my newsletter once a month. I'll send you some generic information that everybody gets the same, that probably isn't that meaningful. I'm now going to send something very specific to them because that's what I learned about them. And it goes in also my notes of that forward method of communication of, oh, that's something they dream about. That's something that they aspire to. So does that make sense? So I want to be a part of their lives, not a part of their transaction anymore. The transaction is where I get paid and it's where I want my business to thrive, but it's their lives that make it happen. Okay, so in my engagements, I can send out market snapshots, market reports, and home reports. If you own a property, would you like to know every month what that property is estimated to be worth and how much equity you have in it? How many would like to know that? You know how many people want to know that across the United States? How many people do you think go to Zillow and look at their Zestimate? All the time. It should be coming from you, not from Zillow or them having to look it up. And when it comes from you, they don't have to go out there. It's convenient and do that. It also tells them, here's the estimated value every month, and it changes, of course. Here's the estimated home equity. Even if it goes down, is that important to them? Of course it is. I only want my stock statement when the stocks go up, right? No, of course not. I want to know what's going on. Is the market softening or not? I've had agents tell me, well, I don't like to send those out when the market's not great. Like, you're kidding me. They still want to know. That's where a lot of their net worth is at. When they click on this, by the way, we get an 86% open rate from that email. It's the most we get of anything that we send out there to homeowners. They care about it. Here's your new home value. Click. They want to know what that is. Then when they click on it, it tells them, here's the estimated value of your home. Here's that history. Because of the way we wanted to do the system that makes us unique, we didn't put, here's properties that are listed near your house to give you an idea of what we found. Sold properties. These are actually sold properties. How many can offer that, at least in the state of Utah? Who's the only ones that can offer that? Real estate agents, right? So this is sold data. Guess what they can do? They can actually click on it and they go to my website. They can't make an appointment to see it because it's already sold, but they can see pictures.
So is the price that's on there, is that what it's sold at, or is that the list price?
No, it says the median price for Parkway Fields is. It just gives a median price. Yeah. If they want to know what this house sold for, anything like that, request a free analysis. You know, that information is there. It's still your ability to share that kind of information with them. Okay.
Okay, so that's the list price on there, on that, right there is.
This is where that list price, this is what it was listed at, not what it was sold at.
Do you do anything in there in your engagement where you do say like, hey, if you want to know more about the sold price, reach out to me, I can help.
Of course, yeah, that's what the whole thing, yeah. But I'll explain later in this power hour how this is done, okay? So then here's your current mortgage. Here's what you could do if you refinanced. Here's what you could do if you bought and sold another house or invested or whatever. It gives you all this information that's out there, right? Then it'll have your picture and all that there, you know, so that they could contact you. We get, again, the most open rate from this than anything else we put out there. Why is it got a good open rate?
It's relevant.
Because they care about it and it's relevant. It's about their home. How many of you would send out, you know, I've seen newsletters go out about the market in Salt Lake or the market in Utah County or something like that. I don't care about the market as much as I care about my house and how much it's worth. If you're not sending this out every single month on a regular basis, you already are missing out on a ton of business or people wanting to talk to you as they get ready to buy or sell.
I was just going to say, that's the question we all get. Like, hey, you know, it's like almost like, how's the weather? They're not sure what to say, and like, how's the market? And I love to just like say, well, what do you mean, how's the market? Like, like, how's the market in your neighborhood or whatever? Because it matters. Like, this summer, there's one street in my neighborhood where I just sold a house, and it was crazy. I mean, it felt like 2021 during the pandemic. We had multiple offers above asking in that section. Like, people want to be right there. So that market right there it's really great. Yeah, every neighborhood is different, every property is different, every person is different. And when you can give in that very specific way, you are now bringing a value that they don't know they even could get access to, right? So these are the kind of things that you send out on a regular basis. The CMA, like if someone asks me like, well, I don't know if that number is accurate. How many of you would have you ever thought about that when you send something like this out? They're like, great, let me check for you, right? But I didn't want it to take a long time. So before I used to tell agents, well, you know, go to their house, see what their interests are. You know, we kind of put it back in the context of what we want. I want business and I want to spend a lot of time with you unless you're serious about this. But sometimes they're like, yeah, I'm 6-8 months out, but I really would like to know what my house is worth. Is this accurate or not? So we built into this, send CMA. Watch this. It's done. It's using AI to build a report that's more specific. Even though it's using the same kind of data that the other one has, this one now becomes even more specific and you have the ability to make adjustments. So we had a lot of agents say, well, I want to make adjustments. I want to be able to do something more specific. Like, great, let the system do the automation, because I've got 3,600 people in my database that are homeowners. Am I going to build 3,600 CMAs every time, you know, every month? I can't do that, but I can let the system do it. And it gets people engaged. But when they want to be more engaged, I send this to them. Now watch this. This is crazy how cool this is. It says adjust comps. It actually took this map and it took sold data. That's the VOW that we have here, key that we have here in Utah. Have you heard that before, VOW and IDX? You've heard of IDX, right? What is IDX? Something cool.
Yeah, it's basically, as a real estate agent, you have a license to show all properties for sale in your MLS legally as a buyer. It's not your listing. Can you solicit someone else's listing without their permission? No. You can if you're a real estate agent and you have an IDX feed and you share that. You can't download pictures and create videos and create marketing. They are in charge of the marketing. Can you share what they created through the MLS to anybody you want out there? You certainly can, and we'll talk about how all that happens. That's what gives you the ability to do that. Otherwise, we couldn't do this. Zillow couldn't do what they do. Boomerang couldn't do what they do. That's how all that is done, through that IDX. But the VOW is what we have in Utah, which is unique. There's a dozen other states like this. We're a non-disclosure state. So that information isn't disclosed outside of what? The MLS, outside of your license that you have. So now I can tap into that. Is that key information when you come up with value? It sure is. So now it's basically saying, here's the house right here. Here's the radius that I'm using. This is AI. Isn't that cool? And it's basically looking at, it found 15 properties that said these properties, from what we can tell, is most likely comparable to that property, starting with sold data, then we'll go to pending, then we'll go to active. So we do a mix of that, right? Because the market changed. If we only did sold data, it could be a little old. If we only did active data, it could be a little too new, right? Does that make sense? Yes, Mark?
Can it actually pull sold data with a VOW?
Yes, it's doing it right here. This is, and it even gives it to them. That's what makes this so brilliant. So watch this. So I can go in here and I can delete, oh yeah, this one isn't really like it. You know, like I know it's not like this property, but it's more like this. You can, I don't even bother with this because you know what I do? I want to work with my clients, not just for them or do things that oh, you're not smart enough type of thing. Do our clients know a lot about their homes and their home's value? They do. More so than we probably do. Now, sometimes we think we're the expert, maybe so, but honestly, without their help, we're not. So I actually send this to them just like it is, and I tell them, I want you to click on these pictures and click on these homes and tell me what you think, and then let's talk, let's get together. And then they want to get together with me, whether it's Zoom or in person, and they want to discuss with me the value of their home. You know what happens then? That's where magic happens. That's when I'm not arguing with them or trying to coerce or convince them that their house is worth less than they think. They get real comparables that they can interact with. I no longer print out a CMA and say, here's a small black and white picture of a house that and a bunch of data, and you're supposed to tell me, or I'm telling you that your house is like this one. And they're like, no, it's not, right? Now I'm giving them this. And I can then adjust it here if I want to, just in terms of the properties that it selects. All these out here that didn't even select, it just selected these in the colors that are associated here. I hit continue, and then here's the range. I can adjust this if I want. If I don't feel like that's the right range, I can just manually adjust it. It's taking it from the average of what was selected. And then down here, it creates net sheets. It even pulls from the data out there what the title and property taxes, and if it finds the other information, it'll fill it out for you. If it doesn't, you can put it in there. You can put commissions in there. It creates net sheets for you. Isn't that cool? There's your net sheet.
So but that's not something you want to automate out every month. Is that
No, this is
500 people and redo those?
Yeah, no, I only do this when they start engage. Basically, I have levels of engagement. So guess what? The power hour is when I call people to really hone in on what they want to do. But if I don't send out all this stuff, if this stuff isn't going out first, maybe not the CMA yet until after the conversation, but if I don't send out that automated home report every single month, and they're not opening it up and I can't tell that they're engaging with it, I'm going to waste my time calling these people up that don't seem to care. So it basically, it's like cream to the, you know, if you think of milk and how the cream rises to the top, I want to deal with the cream, right? Well, how do I know who the cream is? Most of us are like going all through, if you can understand that metaphor, right? They're kind of guessing at where the opportunities are. Why don't I let the system pull it right up to the top and tell me who those people are? And then I only have to spend 1 hour calling those people, and they're engaged and they're asking me questions, and they're like, yeah, I want to meet, I want to talk, because yeah, this is meaningful because I showed you, they didn't mean to show you that that's what's important to them. They're just doing what's automatically, naturally happening when it's important to them. Does that make sense? Kind of. Let me show you more how this goes. So this sends out a net sheet. Then here's all of those properties. This is where you can spend more time. It might be a third discussion before this happens. Remember, if you're working with them for 6-8 months and you're getting them closer and closer to doing what they want to do, and you're helping them do it, how valuable are you? Does that make sense? And your value to them now puts a plan together. And I can't tell you how many people I've talked to that always have said, yeah, maybe in a year. Maybe in 8 months, maybe something along down the line. Guess what happens once we put a plan together? They can't do it fast enough. I just talked to an investor. I'll share this story with you when we get more to the Power Hour part. But just to let you know, I have an investor right now. I helped sell their parents' house. And then I started sending them information. The parents referred me because of how great it went. I got 3 other homes on that street because of it. I'm talking about deal after deal after deal when you do something of great value like this. And so their kids contacted me. They got a bunch of money they want to invest. I did my investment presentation, which I'll share with you as well. They got so excited about it. I mean, literally, I met them a month ago now. We're under our 3rd contract. they can't buy homes quick enough right now because he's convinced, and I didn't convince him, I just shared information with him, that as rates are at where they are right now, the deals are abundant. I helped them buy a 5-bedroom townhome that is almost, it's like 4 years old, that people are anxious to move out for whatever the reason may be, $395,000. Here in Utah, which, how do you do that? It's up in Eagle Mountain, right there by the temple out there and by the lake, by Redwood. And it's just, I can't tell you how exciting it is to work with people that get excited about things that are going beyond the transaction. And it happens, but it has to start with something like this. So, at this point, sorry, I jump around a little bit, but what you can do right here, you can see how excited I get about this stuff. What happens right here is I can add remarks and I can make as many adjustments as I want. So you can make it a true CMA. When you get to that point where you're going to list their house and they're like, I want to know exactly what this should be worth, but you need to give them evidence. If there's no evidence, then what does that price point become? A pain, because it's emotional. All it is an emotional decision. My house has to be worth more than their house that sold for this much. And they don't even have the facts in most cases, right? Yeah, their house sold for $850. I know it did. And you look at it, it sold for $725. Like, where did you get that number? Well, because a neighbor of a friend's neighbor of another friend around the corner said that it sold for $850, and they believe that stuff, right? So you're giving them facts now. But here's where you can now adjust it. You can adjust the value and give it a name. They have a swimming pool. They don't have this or that, etc. And then when you send this, this is where it gets just amazing. This is what they get. Now, it doesn't send it automatically. You get to decide. But first of all, it pulls a picture of the property if it can find it. So it's a real report. It's digital. So you send it to them digitally. They get it right away. You don't have to print it out and give it to them. It shows that you're the expert, right? There's the comparative market analysis. It reinforces that you're the expert. And then it shows them, here are the homes. Here's your house. Here's the houses around. It shows them on a map where these properties are. And even shows them not only if they mouse over it, that property, they can click on it. If it's still for sale, they could request a tour if they want, but this is what I love about what they do is they click on it and then they do this and they look at this. Because what do our clients always do when it comes to properties? They look at pictures. So now they're looking at all the pictures. They're not just looking at the front little picture in the PDF file that you printed out, probably in black and white because you didn't want to waste color ink. And they're actually looking at these pictures and like, you know what? My house is nicer than this, or it's not as nice as this. And they're pricing accordingly. I'm collaborating with them based on a report that I provided. Does Zillow offer this? No, they do not. But you can, and this is what brings value. They can even go to the sold properties. So it's like, I think this is sold, right? Nope, that's the pin. I got to get my colors right. This one right here. Did I get that right? Ah, dang, I did it wrong.
Close. Next one over.
This one.
There you go.
There we go. There we go. Okay. Yes, that's why it says, what is your home worth? And it gives, the median price in this area because this house is no longer for sale yet. I'm giving them sold data, active and pending data, and I'm letting them click on it. They go to my website and they're clicking on those things. Guess what happens when they go to my website? It logs everything that they click at. If they looked at a bunch of those properties, I can go into that discussion knowing they've done some due diligence themselves with the information that I provided. Yes?
So, and you might have answered this and I didn't hear it, but when you're dealing with a sold comps in a specific anomaly property, say like a house with an acre in town,
Yeah.
normally like a quarter-acre lots,
Uh-huh.
has animal rights, and it's sometimes hard to find comps like that because they're not as prevalent as they used
Yeah.
to be when those towns were smaller. So can you go in there and kind of, because sometimes I've had to go even to another town. We don't like to do that, but sometimes you have to get relevant data.
Yeah.
So
You can
go
spread the
in and do
radius.
that.
Yep, you can spread the radius. You can click other homes that are for sale or even sold data, right? And you can make adjustments. Yeah. So that's what you want to do.
Add a specific property that you're aware of?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, that's more.
Yep, you can add a specific property too. Yeah. Usually you want it to be within a distance, so it's easier you can actually add an MLS number, but it's easier just to find it within the radius and just pick it from all those properties that are there. But if it's not, if it's a city away, but you should have good evidence of why that should be,
It's like an
comparable. Exactly. Yes. But it does give you that flexibility to do that. Okay.
Does this have, does it show like selling trends also? Like days on market in this neighborhood, days like.
Just so happens, yes. So the market report, here, let me just, why isn't that clicking up? Market snapshots, I'll do this. Whoops, sorry. Because I'm using fake people and stuff like that, sometimes it doesn't work exactly the way. Let's see, market reports. Okay, here we go. Market info for the last 30 days. In the last 30 days, there's been 85 sold listings for this area, for that city that they're in. You can do it by county, city, whatever you want to do. 490,000 average. Is this what you're talking about?
Kind of, yes.
Okay. Average days. Here's average day on the market for that area, because you said that. And then see more details. They can see, this is what's neat. Here's sold listings right here. View more, and they click on that, and then they can come over here and get this market snapshot. Okay, and then you're the expert. Okay, but what I'll tell you though is that you're the expert, but they need a way to get to you through information that's relevant to them. Does that make sense, what I just said? If you can't get to them in a relevant way, then all you are is an annoying salesperson, honestly. That's why I've never been a big fan of pumpkin pie recipes in newsletters that you don't even write. I'm not a big fan of that. I'm not a big fan of the just listed, just sold postcards, or the you're at title and you're all holding a cutout key. Those things I see a lot of, and I'm not saying that they're bad. I don't want you to feel bad about doing those things because we all have done them. But in my mind, it's not super helpful and relevant. It's really just talking about you in a sense. So you're trying to give some sort of purpose of what you have to offer. Whereas when you give them this, it's about giving them exactly what is important to them. What's my house worth? What's the area look like? What are the recent homes that have been for sale out here? That's expertise. Like when I go to a lawyer or CPA, if I have a CPA that says, yes, sit down with me, I'm going to ask you questions. If I go through this wizard, I'm going to think I could just get TurboTax and do this. I don't need you to ask me those questions that I could just answer in myself. I need you to give me advice on what I should be doing and how I should do it so I pay less taxes, or so that I understand what I can do with the amount that I'm paying that's going to give me more benefit, right? That's what you need to do as a real estate agent, unless you just want to be a transaction coordinator. I will say that as technology advances, it's going to be hard to compete at that level because AI can do it, and Zillow will do it, and Homey will do it, and all these others will do it for less money. Then you have to hustle even more, right? You have more competition for less money. So you have to do high volume for that to work. But when you're the person, you're the expert that people are talking about, the people that you work with, and they're talking to others about it, and the business just keeps coming to you, you're in a whole other league. And that's what we're trying to help you build through this. Yes?
So you've got 5 things listed there. Property alerts would be what you're using when someone is actively looking. So that would be more buyer than seller.
Even semi-active, even like if they're a seller, even if they might want to move into a place, because they always I'm just trying to say, I use this a lot more than most agents.
Okay, so I'm just trying to
Yeah.
solidify in my mind which one is for who. Market snapshot.
Both buyers and sellers, I send that out
And
to.
homeowner?
Yeah, sorry. So sellers, homeowner, yeah.
Okay.
Same with market reports, same thing.
Home report is a homeowner, not necessarily.
Just a homeowner, that's right. Just a homeowner,
Okay.
that's right.
And a seller report, I don't
Yeah.
remember seeing that on my list.
Yeah, seller report is really about when they get ready to sell their home, I guess. It really gives a report of homes that you sold. Like you can actually give a report on that property that you sold. So a lot of times I'm sending this to the seller after their house is sold, just to let them know. It tells them all the stats. How many people looked at their home on the MLS, how many saved it, the advertising that I did. It gives them kind of a rundown of all this work that I did for them as they went to sell their house. It's kind of a cool report. I haven't used it a ton, honestly, but it does have a lot of good information.
But that's all if you're doing everything through.
If you're doing everything through the Captivate CRM.
On your own, separate from law.
That's right, it won't show that. It'll only show what you did within the system.
And then the CMA is a different tab at the top.
It's basically right in here, the CMA's in here, but I will send guess who I send CMAs to all the time? You won't believe it. Buyers. You know when I send a CMA to a buyer? When they've narrowed it down to that one property they want, I'll actually create a CMA for them. so that we can get an idea of what we should put as an offer on that property. It works really good. And because it's done so quickly, I don't have to go through the minutia of building it from scratch, right?
Okay.
Yes.
On your investors that you have multiple properties, and you're in this section.
You can create as many of these as you want,
Okay,
like home
so
reports.
It'll be like
It'll be a separate. It doesn't roll them up or put them into one report. Here's a report for this house. Here's your rental property 1, rental property 2, your own property. They'll get 3 reports every single month. And guess what they do with all 3 of those reports every month? They open all 3 of them and they spend time looking at them. And then if they click on anything, I know that they've clicked on it as well. So remember when I told you about, if I come over to my people, I can see engagements by lead score and by last touch. This is where I spend my power hour. This is where I actually filter it by lead score, and then I call those people that are most active. I can just click on it and see what they're doing, what they're looking at. And instead of me calling someone up and say, hey, Isabel, I'm just calling to check in, see how things are going. Notice you're looking at some properties. Anything I can show you? I don't do that. You know what I do? Hey, Isabel, I noticed that you opened up 123 Main Street. And I looked at it too. I don't know if you saw this, but it's offering a $10,000 concession. I went ahead and called the listing agent to see where kind of things are. And they're so anxious to sell. I think we can get a really good deal on this property. Now imagine that conversation with Isabel compared to the conversation of saying, hey, Isabel, just calling to check up on you, right? She's like, yeah, you just wasted my time like you always do when you call me up and ask that question, right? Unless you're friends, they may be like that. Maybe you use the Ford method of communication and then you overdo it and they get mad that way. But when I call people up, because I'm a red, when I call them up and say, hey, Isabel, I saw you looking at 123 Main Street and I've got some insider information about that. When would you like to go look at it? You know how many times they're like, oh yeah, let's go look at it. Or sometimes they'll give me more insight that I can put into my notes. Yeah, I'm looking at it. We're still not ready yet. We're still 2 to 3 months out. But thanks for checking in. Thanks for staying on top of this with me. What am I showing them? Yeah, I'm showing them I'm here for you. I notice you're in my system, and that means something to me to help you, not to sell you. And now I'm talking to you about what you took the time to click on it. If they took the time to click on it, there must be something that they're thinking. And I want to know what that is. But if I put it into the context, I'm here to help you. And I say, you just clicked on, not just, but you clicked on 123 Main Street and I found out this information. If I just say I saw you click on it and I want you to know what you think, that sounds more like I'm stalking them. But if I actually click on it myself and I get some information that I know they probably didn't look at, remember the insider information? And I tell them, hey, I noticed this has this or that. Did you know that you get this with that? Or that I called the agent and they want, they're anxious to sell because the sale fell through. They're willing to give another $10,000 in concessions that's not showing up in the listing itself. You could get a really good deal on this property. I'm doing that a lot right now because you know how many people are giving good deals on properties? They're not even up. They don't want to put it out there on the MLS listing, but they tell their agent that. I call the agent. They're like, yeah, they're anxious to sell this property. I have one property right now where, it's only been on the market for 6 days. We've had, a dozen people look at it, whatever. But the clients are like, hey, when are we going to sell this thing? Have you ever had clients like that? Yeah. Why isn't it under contract right now? Or something like that. Let's do another open house. Let's schedule 5. And they're anxious, right? And I asked them about their pricing. Because I was like, your price is you're on the high end. And I told you that before. So now they're thinking, well, maybe we should bring the price down. Do you want to put that up on the MLS? No, let's see what that will do in time. But they give me permission that I can tell anybody that calls that they're willing to take a lower price. You know what I'm saying? It's just one of those things where I'm a little bit more engaged with them as I notice where they're engaged. But I don't bother all the rest of the people. Okay? Now, Veterans Day was yesterday. I saw a lot of happy veterans emails that go out there, posts that go out there and stuff like that. Here's what I would recommend. In your database, you should have all your veterans. Do all of you have veterans in your database, like listed in that segment or in that group as veterans? I can send them a happy Veterans Day, which is more meaningful, make it more meaningful to them. But instead of just being don't forget me and I'm going to tell you that I care about you as a veteran, I actually put out a message about, did you know that there's a grant right now for veterans for buying their home? Or here's a video that we did about how veterans can take advantage of their benefits or something like that. That's meaningful. It has to do with real estate, but isn't that what they expect from me? But now it's about them specifically instead of a general thing that I put out there for everybody. I put out a nice picture of someone saluting a flag and say Happy Veterans Day. I'm telling you, nobody really I mean, yeah, they might think that that's nice, but they see it 100 times. But if you send out information about taking advantage of veteran benefits, thank you for serving our country, did you know that you can, get this or that with it, it becomes a little bit more meaningful, but I don't need to send it out to everybody. My database is set up that I can do that. I can set it up to send all my homeowners a home maintenance reminder for every month. And I put a nice little message that goes along with it that's personal. We'll teach you how to do that. But when your messages are meaningful and directed to someone that has some specific interest, then you're bringing value. When you just generalize and send out a message, I've had agents before like, oh, I've got 5,000 people in my database and it keeps giving me this error message that I can only send out 500. I'm so bummed, because if I send out more than 500, it's going to go into spam. And someone actually said that to me and I wanted to look at the message. And I'm like, well, yeah, this is spam. It is. It's spam. That you are spamming everybody. If you're sending out a message to 5,000 people and the message says the exact same thing to everybody, even if it says hi Mike instead of hi John or hi Susie or whatever, it's still spam. There's no meaningful dialogue or information that's getting them excited about wanting to do something when it comes to real estate. But if I send something that's specific, hey John, here is what, there's a teacher benefit right now for buying properties, in this county, and you're a teacher, call me if you want to know more information. That teacher's not going to think, wow, that was a waste of my time, right? You see what I'm saying? But if I send out a generic message about, Thanksgiving's coming up and I'm so excited, here's a pumpkin pie recipe, my family recipe, I hope you have a great day, and I send that out, yeah, I'm not saying that's bad, but I'm saying I'm not going to get that from my lawyer. I'm not going to get that from my CPA. And you're a professional, give me something that's more in line with what you do to help me get what I want when it comes to real estate. Okay? Now, power hour, 1 hour a day. And what you're going to do is you're going to go into your database. This is how you do it. And I put it right here in terms of the power hour. This is how I want you to spend your power hour. Just 1 hour a day. If you do this 1 hour a day, 5 days a week, and you prospect, I promise you, even if you're awkward about it, even if it's harder at first, you spend 1 hour a day calling up people, but you at least have some sense of an idea of what they want and how to help them. So it's not an annoying sales message. I promise you, you'll do 2 to 3 deals a month. I promise you. Because I've seen it happen. Yeah, she's saying, no way, I've tried it. It may take a little time to warm up to it. It may take time for you to believe it. If you don't believe it, guess who else is not going to believe it? They won't. They hear it in your voice. They know that it's not going to work because you don't have the confidence that it will. I can do it, and in a very short period of time, because I have complete confidence that what I'm offering them is what they want. And that's a red thing too, I know. So the group of people that I'm going to call first as I go into my database are my active buyers. When I say active buyers, what does that mean? They're clicking on properties that I'm sending them. I know it because I can go into my database. How do I know if they're active buyers or not? Unless maybe 6 months ago they said, yeah, I want to buy, and I started sending them listing alerts, but I have no way of tracking it. I have no way of knowing what they're clicking on. Nothing. That's an annoying call when I say, hey, John, I was wondering if you're still looking and what can I do to help? I'm calling and saying, hey, Isabel, you looked at 123 Main Street. I found out this information. When do you want to see it? That's going to be a good use of my time. So I'm going to first go through all my active buyers. It might take you the full hour just to go through your active buyers. You're good. Next day you start again. You're going to do this 5 days a week. Okay, does that make sense? Active buyers come first. Why? Lowest hanging fruit. Is not that the case? Lowest hanging fruit. Now, if they're an active buyer, a lot of times, do they own homes? Do you even know if they own a house and they need to sell it? How many of you have that conversation with them? Hopefully you do, because you want to, I tell them this, I have a special service. Remember, everything I have has a name to it. We offer a home transition service. I tell them that. It's a special service that helps people sell their house and buy another house so they're not stuck with 2 mortgages or without a place to live. All I have to do is say that. Those are the 2 big pain points of buying and selling properties. I have a home transition program that helps you get from one home to the next without having 2 mortgages or without a place to live, and make it go smooth and easy. So if they come in and they're a buyer and they own a house, they're like, oh yeah, well I guess you should sell my house. I've had literally clients that were buyers tell me that, oh, I guess I should have you sell my house. Like, yeah, that'd probably be a good idea. We have a program for it, right? Does that make sense? So talk to your active buyers first, lowest hanging fruit. Second, I go to my lead score in my database. I look at those with the highest lead score. What does the lead score mean? They're somehow engaged with what I've been putting out there, and I want to see what it is. Now, if they're already buyers and I already talked to them, of course, I can skip over that, but then I'll find other people that are engaged in some other way. They're looking at their home report. They're looking at something else. I have a message for them. If they're looking at their home report, what's my message? What's the program that we offer? Who remembers? We have a program called the Home Equity Assessment Program. What does that Home Equity Assessment Program do? By the way, the script is in the last page of the handout that I just gave you. It's basically letting them know that their equity is earning them zero, and they have $300,000 of that equity, and I'm going to teach them how to tap into that and turn it into more wealth, or turn it into buying their next property, or turn it into paying off their debt and their income, or debt and their home faster, right? It's in the book. It should be the last page in the handout that I gave you.
This is the last page.
Oh, they cheated you. Okay, I will send it to you. It's in there. It's also in the printed book as well. But it's called the Home Equity Assessment Program. Okay? Is it on the back of any of those pages or not? No. Oh, it's supposed to be in there. But it's a really simple thing where I sit down. That's the couple that I told you about that are on their third house in a month. They're literally under contract on 3 homes at the same time, but they've got enough money to do that. But I've taught them in what don't pay cash, buy more properties. That's what they're going to do. They're going to pay full cash to buy 1 property. I convinced them to take the cash and buy 3 properties and leverage the mortgage, right? Even though it's 6.5% for them, but they're going to, with the $100,000 down or 150 or so down on each one of those properties, they're going to get enough cash flow to be able to take care of the mortgage itself. And then I taught them how to use a HELOC to take care of the down payment. They didn't need to do that because they had cash to do it. But does that mean, I'll send you a video about how I teach that to them, and you can get a lender involved to do that. But that's when I talk to my people that have a high lead score, because they keep opening up their home equity report. I don't just say, oh, good, I'm glad you're opening up that home equity report. What do you think? Pretty cool, huh? You got $320,000 in equity, right? The first thing I ask them is, what are you going to do with that equity? And they're like, well, I don't want to sell my house. I'm like, that's fine. You don't have to. You got a 3.25% interest rate. I remember. Keep it. But you could rent it out and buy the next one. You could pay off your debt, right? And it's called debt consolidation. Talk to your lender if you don't know how that works. They love hearing that. And you might not benefit from it right away, but you're giving service. Remember, you give. You don't have to just take, even if you don't make money from that. That's a good reason for them to work with you. And they end up wanting to buy their property anyways after that. It happens just normally. I also teach them how to downsize. I love that before they want to retire. Yeah, you don't need that big house. Downsize, but buy 3 properties. Have the two rental payments pay for all 3, the mortgages, because you're going to put enough down because you sold your big property, right? And then they rent out the other 2. What's going to happen to their nest egg throughout retirement? It grows instead of shrinks. How many people, when they get to retirement, they're like, I hope this lasts all my life. Now they've got growth opportunity and they got tax write-offs. How many people go into retirement without any tax write-offs? Right? Then how much they're paying? I feel so bad. But you know how many most retirement people are paying on all that money they saved for all those years? You know how much they're paying in taxes when they pull it out? 35 to 50%. 35 to 50%. When you have rental properties, you can offset that tremendously. Read that book I showed you, that tax-free book. That's a really good book to read. Then I go to my last touch. Why do I go to my last touch in my database? Because there's times that people are dormant for a long time. There's so many people that I've actually picked up in my own database. They've basically had no engagement hardly. They get my emails and they're just coming in, but nothing happens. All of a sudden, they click on something. All of a sudden. It reminds me when they do, I should call this person up. I find out what they click on, and then I decide from there how to have a conversation. So let's say they just click on the home maintenance report. This happened just yesterday where someone clicked on a home maintenance report. I hadn't talked to this person in at least 6 or 8 months. And so they clicked on that and they opened it. It shows that they opened it. So guess what I did? I called them up and I said, hey, I won't give the name because there's people in here that know who that is. I'll just say I called them up. So let's say it's Kevin. Say, hey, Kevin, how's it going? I noticed you opened up that home maintenance thing. And one of the recommendations is to make sure that you get your furnace tuned up and stuff like that. Did you want, I have a contractor that does that. We had a long conversation, started talking about other things. Guess what it's led to? He's like, what, should I stay in my house? Should we move? We've been thinking about this. They start talking about real estate because I'm what? I'm an agent. And do you think people are thinking about real estate out there right now? Most of them are. Now, it may not be, I want to buy or sell right now, but they have some sort of thought. I wouldn't mind living here or living there or doing this or doing that when it comes to real estate. Or I saw that video. They don't even tell me because I didn't recognize it. I saw that video that you sent out about how I could tap into my equity and I could buy another property. My son is going to go to college. I'm thinking maybe we should buy a property. Can you help me understand how that works? People will talk to you about real estate if you give them a reason to, but that reason can't start with you giving them pumpkin pie recipes or calling them out of the blue for no reason. It has to be about information that leads to that, which is their home equity report or the home maintenance to keep their house up or the market report. And they will look at those things. They do like to, even if they just briefly look at it and then close it, it still keeps you top of mind, but in a meaningful way, not an unmeaningful way. That's what I mean by meaningful. It has to be about real estate. It can't be just top of mind stuff, okay? Now, the next one is the referral partners. All of you have referral partners. If you've been in the business like Mark for a long time, and many of you, you've got people that are sending you referrals. Take them out to lunch. Make an appointment for them. Don't even try to sell them. They're already giving you business if that's that kind of referral partner. You have strategic partners like your stagers. And I've had so many agents say, oh, I want to do this. Who should I use as a stager? I'm thinking, how long have you been an agent? You don't even know a stager in the area? Sorry if I've said that to you, and I don't want you to feel bad. But you need to know these partners that do things to help you do your business better. We call them strategic partners if they're people that are really strategic to your business doing well. And then we have business partners that are like a CPA that specializes in real estate. When I've talked about I have a really great CPA, usually, and you'll probably do it, they'll come to me after class, who's your CPA? I want one like that, right? Because when you spread the word and news about things that are good for other people because it's good for you and it has to do with real estate, that's the best way if you want to be top of mind to people. So spend some time with them. Start calling those referral partners. Hey, John, let's go out to lunch. I haven't talked to you for a while. He's given you 5 deals this year. Is it worth taking them out? Yeah, do it. Spend that time. Can you write that off? You certainly can. Write it up right off the lunch. Take the time to call those partners. If you don't have a good landscaper or cleaner or stager or something like that, you better find one. But don't just call someone up out of, Facebook Marketplace or, someone that you look up on Google. Talk to say, hey, I'd love to meet with you. I mean, I know they get busy and stuff like that. And they're like, what do you mean? If I tell them this, I'm a real estate agent. And I have a lot of people asking me, a lot of clients asking me who a good landscaper is in the area. And I don't want to refer someone if I don't know them. And I kind of would like to get to know you and meet you if I want to refer you. And I'm looking for that referral partner. You guess what they usually say? Yeah, let's meet. And if they say no, then I'm probably not going to want to use them anyway. They're going to be hard to pin down. You know what I mean? So get referral partners to work for you. It's like investing. When you get your money to work for you, get people to work for you in your business. You don't have to go out and do it all yourself, but you have to find ways to help them as they help you. And basically treating them well and taking them out to lunch. I give gift cards. As long as they're not in the industry, you can do that. I'll give gift cards to someone that refers me business, right? Talk to your broker. If you have any questions, don't get me in trouble, but there's ways that you can do stuff like that to help, promote this referral business. And then if you have exhausted your hour 5 days a week, you've called all your active buyers. And the way I look at this is I never let a week go by without showing them property. So I can call a buyer every single week. I got another property to show you, right? Now, these are just calls that you're making. The goal of these calls should lead to what? An appointment that leads to a contract. They should lead to an appointment. Let's meet. Let's talk. Let's get together. Let's go over the next step. That's what we call it a life cycle. Where are they? You want to know where they're at. And where's next? Right now, I'm building equity. Great. I'm trying to, keep my house up. Great. I can help you. I got vendors. Or contractors that can help you to do that. I talked to the people that are actually buying these 3 homes. Guess what they brought up just yesterday too when I was talking to them as they're looking at or putting a contract under that 3rd home is I've been wanting to update my master bathroom for years, is what the wife said. And the husband's like, but that's not a good investment. He was like we don't need a better bathroom. But she's like, yes, we do, right? I've got a contractor that can help you to do that. She was so excited, and then he's like giving in. So now I got my contractor meeting with them to go redo their master suite. What does that contractor think of me? I just helped him, right? So if he's interested in buying or selling properties, if he knows someone, who's he going to recommend? Me, because I create relationships that still stay within the real estate realm, and that's what I get known for. So referral partners and all that. But anyway, you get down here, if you still don't have anybody to talk to, we have a whole program on expireds and FSBOs. Now, why do I like expireds and FSBOs? Because I know you all hate them, and I kind of, they're hard as well to talk to, because they don't want to talk to you a lot of times, right? They're already pissed off at their last agent because it didn't work out, and they just hate all agents, right? So that's how it feels like on these two. But the thing is what do you have that all those other agents didn't have or don't have? You have a $20,000 listing presentation. How many of you have actually taken that out and presented that? No, not many. I know some of you have. I'm telling you, it works. I use it. As soon as I go into that home and I show them all the tech and all the advertising and marketing, and I give them the Oculus goggles and put it on, I bring my 360 camera and show them how I can walk around their house, and I show them examples of it. I'm telling you, every single person I show this to, they're like, how much more does this cost? I didn't know this was even going to be available. What does this mean? And they get all, the biggest concern they have before I give them my commission is that they think that it's going to cost a whole lot of money. I'm like, I charge as much as the other guys charge, but I get all this, I don't have to pay extra for it. Yeah, okay, you're hired. It works. So you can get these. It's not as hard to get them when you have the $20,000 listing presentation, when you know how to help people stage and flip their homes, when you have examples of homes that have gone under contract. The last 8 homes that I've sold all went under contract except for one within the first week, except for one. It works when you advertise this way. So believe in it, get good at it, and deliver it, and then you'll get more business that way. But if you want to join us, if you go to, and this is free, by the way, if you haven't done this, go to school, SKOOL.com/Captivate Agent. In this community, we've set it up. You can ask any question you want to all the people that are in there. We have 101 members now. We just started this like a month ago. So we just moved over from another system because we like this. This will keep on growing. You'll have people that will share their ideas. We share a lot. We care about helping people, not about, holding tight to us what works and not telling anybody else about it. You can ask any question you want out there. Then you can go to the classroom, and then the power sessions that we have on Thursdays, they're all recorded and they're right here. FSBO, it's time to take action. All sorts of things. We even have other coaches that join us and talk about things like Lars Hindenburg. And then all the classes that I teach here, did you know that they're all recorded? Like he's recorded them. They're all up there, and if you want to rewatch them, you can. All these resources are there. They're free. You just join it. There's no cost to it. It's yours to join and learn about some of these things. If you decide to take advantage of the CRM and things like that, it'll walk you through how to set it up. And we're getting better and better as we continue to offer these resources better for you so that you can be successful in your business. Because my mission is that you get 2 to 3 deals a month, and that you get $15,000 to $20,000 a month in passive income within 10 years. You can do that. So you need to make your goals. What I want you to do, and if it's not on the worksheet, I will send this to you. So I apologize if it didn't get printed out. So Cammie, some of the sheets didn't get printed out on it, but that's all right. We'll send it out. Did you get the goals on there? Okay, so I put an example of what it could look like in terms of what you put in goals, and then I gave you a blank sheet. Because what are you supposed to do with this sheet? Who remembers? Hang it up and put it in. When I get dressed every morning, I'm reading this out loud, my own goal sheet, right? Whoever's closet, yeah. So as an example, if you're going to do 2 to 3 deals every month, if you feel like, okay, I'm starting out, this is for the next 12 months. So you started out the top. It doesn't have to start in January. 12 months starting in whatever month you're in. So don't feel like you have to wait till January to do it. Start right now, okay? And how many closings am I going to get? If you don't aim to what you want, if you don't put it down and write it down, it's not going to happen. It's going to be very difficult for that to happen. Write it down. I want to do 24 closings or 36. If you all had 24 closings this next year, do you know what that would represent? You're in the top 5% of all agents in the United States. Did you know that? That baffles me. I got my license just so that I could buy and sell my own properties. I decided just a year ago that, oh yeah, I better start doing this like a real agent so I have relevancy as I started this new company. I'm doing 2 to 3 deals a month and I spend 5 hours a week, but I put all these pieces in place. And I know I'm a red, and I know I'm assertive, and I know you may not feel like, well, I'm not you, Mike, but that's fine. You be you. But you have to put the pieces together. And if you let us help you to do that, it works. Trust me, I know you've been burned before probably on CRMs and coaches and brokers and all these other things and CE classes that teach you all sorts of stuff and you don't know what to do. Stay intentional, stay informed, and I'll walk you through how to do that if you let us, right? And then to whatever degree, that's fine. You have let us up to this point for those that have been coming to this. But put down how many closings. These are measurable goals. I want to have 24 closings in the next 12 months. 10 of those I want to have listings. Maybe you haven't done a lot of listings and you know, wow, if I do more listings like Mike said, more listings are going to generate more business. That's why I want you to put down a listing goal there. I'm sure you all can figure out the buyer side. I want you to put down your listing goals, okay? Because the more listings you have, the more business you're going to have overall. I want you to decide how many people are going to get into your CRM. How many of you paid for a CRM for years and you still only have 10 people in there? Don't say it if you have. There's a couple of laughs though that I heard. So we a lot of times will like buy into these ideas of technology that's going to help us, but we don't create intentional routines that's going to help us to get to where we need to be. If you don't have at least 250 people in there, the CRM can't do the work for you. You're not going to get the 2 to 3 deals a month. So if you don't have that many in there, you're going to add them. If you already do, then you should have a goal of how many more I'm going to add every single month. You know, like Mark Fay, maybe, I don't know, do you have, like, what's your goal for how many more people you need to add to your database of, you got at least 4,000 or 5,000, I think, probably in there.
No, I've trimmed it down to 2,500, but.
Yeah, just 2,500, yeah.
I'm very specific on who I put in there.
Yeah.
I don't want to just put everybody.
Yeah, yeah.
So.
And he's at a different place in his career for 27 years of being in the business, but I want you to have at least 250 people in there, right? And that should grow, and you should get up to that point where you can make that decision. I get enough business. Again, the end goal of the mission is 2 to 3 deals a month and the passive income that's going to help me to retire when it comes to my business goals. So you need to have something in there that kind of is going to get you to that point. 35-star reviews. Do people look at your reviews? Do they get business from that? When they do, is it easy when you're trying to win someone over to send them? When I send reviews, by the way, I don't send just 5-star reviews that they see on there. They see that. But every single time I'm here at Title One, because we do most of our closings here, I have my phone here and I have them give me a video review. I have a video review of almost everybody I've closed with, at least in this last year. And it's great to hear them talk about what I do for them because they teach others what I'm basically trying to tell them that I do. When someone else does it for me, it's so much more powerful. When they say, yeah, I love it when they say, I staged my house, and like the guy says, it's always the guy, I didn't want to pay for it. I didn't think it was going to be worth it, but I went ahead and did it, and it worked, and I'm so glad that I did. You know, and our house got under contract in 6 days, and we got multiple offers. They say those things, right? So much better than a picture with a key with just captions, if that makes sense. And then you should have something personal in there too, something really great that you're going to accomplish. Every year, you should accomplish something amazing. Every year, I want you to do something extraordinary. I'm going to pause because I want you to think about it for a second. I want you to do something that you don't even think you can do. Because when you do something extraordinary, then it releases or removes, psychologically, just removes all the limits from everything else that you think you can or can't do. I want you to come up with something that it's going to take you a whole year to prepare to do, and I want you to do it. If it's run a marathon, I want you to run a marathon. If it's write a book, if it's finish a degree. I know in some ways you have to spend all this time, but sometimes you need to spend time on you, not on everybody else. Because if all you do is give to other people, it will wear you out. Even if you get a lot reciprocated, and that's the good thing about giving is you do get a lot back. And that's very rejuvenating and very exciting to do that. But I want you to pick one thing that's extraordinary, and I want you to do it this year. And then you're going to do it year after year, and you'll be amazed at how many extraordinary things you're capable of. And we spend so much time putting ourselves in these little boxes of saying what we can and can't do, and what we can and can't accomplish. And you can do things that you don't think you can, but you have to put it into a goal, okay? Now, The routines are going to lead up to whatever those goals are. I'm going to do my morning routine every day. Now, if you already do a routine, you don't have to put it here. This is stuff that you haven't yet put into a habit. So, okay, my morning routine. If you need to break it down, break it down. Like you do have a morning routine, but the one thing I don't do each morning is I don't exercise for 30 minutes. So I'm going to put exercise for 30 minutes in my routine, however that needs to be. The power hour probably isn't a routine. How many of you spend at least 1 hour, 5 days a week prospecting new business? Yep, there's 3, 4 hands up. Maybe the rest of you aren't ready to raise your hand and you do it. That's great, but most agents do not do that. 1 hour a day, 5 days a week, and you'll do 2 to 3 deals a month. That's all you have to do is get in front of more people. But if you do it with more meaningful information and more meaningful purpose and more intentional support, you'll find that that 1 hour becomes so much more powerful to you and to them. So that's the difference. That's why I didn't teach this class first. Because if I just said you need to reach out to people 1 hour a day, you would get out there and have the most awkward conversations talking about meaningless stuff and basically get people to stop answering their phone whenever you call. I want you now to be in a position to say, hey, John, you clicked on 123 Main Street. I got some really great information about this property. Would you like to go take a look at it? And even if he says no, if he clicked on it, he most likely will say, but this is why I clicked on it. This is what I'm thinking. This is what I kind of would like to do. Great, let's put a plan together and help you to do that when it's the right time for you. And I want you to start loading up people in your pipeline of getting ready to buy and sell because they've let you know that, yeah, it's a year out, but guess what? I'm starting to think about it and I need help. And if you're not talking to them about that, then how are they going to know? They just think you're there to open the door and put a sign in the yard when that time comes, okay? I want you to do daily farm posts and weekly landing page. We talked about this last week, so I'm not going to go into the detail. But if you're not putting stuff out there continually and consistently on social media, then it's going to be hard for people to stay connected with you in that area that's very important. But if you're just putting out there things that aren't meaningful so much, right? Put a few of those. I don't care. Put out your dog doing something cute, or the vacation that you go on, or Happy Veterans Day. I don't care. But please make sure you have these daily farm posts. Do a ton. If you're the expert in your farm and every home for sale and for rent in your farm goes up there every single day that's new in the market, it takes you 15 to 20 minutes to do that, you will be the expert. They will get to know you as the expert in that area for all those properties. 21,000 people on your page. Is that what you said, Amy? Some of you others have done this. I've got agents that have tens of thousands of people that are part of that Facebook group, and they're just putting stuff out there. Even if you don't see direct leads all the time coming from it, I promise you that's leading to that discussion that you will have to them at some point. Amy's the expert out here. I mean, there's nobody else that I would ever work with except for Amy in this area because she knows every property that's for sale and for rent out here. Is that important to people when they want to buy and sell property in a certain area, which they always want to buy in a certain area? Isn't that funny I say it that way? Because that's the case. Community expertise is so important to them. So have these farm posts and weekly landing pages out there. What's a landing page? I can create a landing page on this website that I showed you last week. Every single property that's a condo in this area, that's a townhome in this area, that's a luxury home in this area, that's a horse property in this area, that's a on and on and on and on. And you're going to create a page for each one of those. Once a week, you just create one of those posts or one of those landing pages. Weekly landing page, daily farm post. 5 letters a week. I sincerely believe, I know it's getting so much I want to share with you. Writing a letter to people, actually writing it out. And I didn't realize how powerful that was because we do everything digitally nowadays. And I started writing letters. Like if it's a birthday, if you want to say happy birthday to someone, talk about writing a letter and what that does, right? I had one agent do that where every birthday he writes me a handwritten happy birthday and puts a $5 gift card into a place that I like to go get a drink. And I don't drink alcohol, but so I didn't mean it that way. But anyway, he sends that card to me as my birthday every single year. He does it for everybody in his database. I found out that he has over 1,000 people in his database. He hand writes these cards and sends out a $5 gift card. He says, I get more business from that than almost anything else I do. Handwrite is, no, part of my morning routine is I want to write one letter just to somebody that's meaningful, just to say thank you for something, or to say, I'm proud of you, or I love you, or whatever that is, right? Send it out. And then if you're going to run a marathon, you should have a routine that goes to that. I'm going to run 5 miles a day. Then you have these milestones. These are things that I've told you got to do, and you're like, oh yeah, I got to do these things. You let them pile up. How many of you let all those things pile up? Right? I'm talking kind of fast because I'm trying to get through everything. So what I want you to do is I want you to take it off your shoulders, and I want you to put it onto your goal sheet that you're going to read every day. I'm going to have my website set up by January 6th. Give yourself some time. Whenever we decide we want to do something in our minds, how fast does it need to get done?
Yesterday.
Exactly. And if it doesn't get done yesterday, then what do our minds start to do? Stress, anxiety, guilt. How many of you feel that? And then you multiply it times 10 things, or I gave you 100 things that you should do, and you're like, okay, guilt, stress, anxiety. Wait a second, I thought you were helping me, right? That doesn't feel very helpful. So I want you to take that off, take that burden off you, put it down, and be generous. If you need an extra couple of weeks or whatever, please be realistic about it, what you think you can do. It's all right that it takes you a few weeks to get some things done that you feel like I really need now. But the only reason you feel like you need them done now is why? Because I introduced it to you and you thought, oh, I need this now. If I don't have it, I'm not going to get my 2 to 3 deals. That's not the case. You can start calling people right away. You can start adding people right away. You can start doing those little things. If you weren't doing them before, it's like, think of it as like running a marathon. How many of you feel like it would be a healthy thing for you to do because you have wanted to run a marathon for 5 years? You decided to do it, so you sign up for it and you show up the day of the marathon and you literally have not done any stretching or anything up to that point. What's going to happen to you after you do 5 miles? Or 8 miles or 10 miles? You know what I'm saying? Think of that with your business as well. I know you've been in the business for a long time, and maybe the things I shared with you, like, I know I needed to do these things. I know that these things are important, and you kept putting them off, and then now I make you feel guilty and anxious about it. Please take those burdens off, put them down into a milestone, and then put dates to them and say, okay, I've got time. And when this is exhausted, like it's only August that I've got all this done, you can redo this. That's fine. This can be a living document. Okay, you don't have to put your whole year worth down. Don't overwhelm yourself. Here's the things that I need to get done. It creates a priority and creates a timeline. Okay? Create your own goal sheet. There's the appointment scripts that I told you that you had that weren't there. These are the resources, and I hope that what I've been able to teach you over the last 8 weeks have been useful in some way or another. I really do. I want this to be a giving opportunity from me to you, and then you to give to yourself and to others as we go through this exercise of how to build and grow our business and how to love what we do. And I love this. I do. I feel like I have meaning and purpose because of this. And when I help the investors that I met with the other day, or when I'm helping these other sellers or doing this flip, I find and try to find meaning in everything that I do that goes beyond just how much money I make, right? So do that. And we want to help you. So join us on school. It's free, even at the very least. Ask questions. Get engaged with other agents. Find out what's working for them. Share your goal sheet and see what other people might think about it, what they could do to help you. You might even find someone else that wants to run a marathon on our school page, and they'll teach you things that they've learned about it. Read good books. Listen to good books. There's so much that you can do without, again, feeling guilty or overburdened by all these things. So we'll help you if you join us here. And then if you're interested in wanting a system to do 90% of the lifting, or 80%, or however you want to look at it, but a good portion of the lifting of your business. I'm telling you, we in our industry have this tendency to feel like that our time isn't valuable. And I hate to say this, and I'm going to say that with a sincere effort to be empathetic towards that. We convince ourselves that our time is not valuable. How many of you feel like that? We run and jump when someone says run or jump. We don't invest money into our systems. We decide, oh, we're just going to do it on our own. I mean, this is the only industry that I've seen people go into a business and literally do it through bootstrapping, but I don't want to get into any debt. And they end up spending hours and hours and hours doing things that systems could do in a fraction of the time. Now, I know it's easier for me to say this because I have a lot of money that comes in, but I didn't at first. You can get to that point, but if you keep trying to do everything yourself and you don't get help and you don't have systems that help you, it is going to be this wheel, this gerbil wheel that you just keep running and running and running, and it doesn't go nearly where you need it to go to grow and build your business. We spent over $1 million putting together, just in this last year, a system and workflows and processes and best practices that all fit together into helping you and us build and grow a business to those two goals: 2 to 3 deals a month, $15,000 to $20,000 in passive income. If you will allow me to help you, I will help you. I used to then say, okay, how many of you want to join our coaching group? And you pay several $1,000s to be a part of that. I don't do that anymore, because what I found is that that's not super helpful, because then you, in whatever place you're in, are still having to put everything together. And we were still just giving you a bunch of ideas. And so what we're doing now is we took a system that was amazing and then built on top of that all of the things that we recommend that you do to get the business that you want to meet those two goals. And we put it all together for you. If you bought the system off the shelf from this company, from Lofty, it's $500 a month for everything just out of the box that they offer. We were able to get a deal with them because we convinced them with our investor that we're going to do so many of this across the nation. We give it to you for half the price that you buy it off the shelf with, but you get all of our coaching, all of our training and everything. You didn't pay for this. You got lunch every day because of Title I, which they're going to come up and celebrate all this with you with a great big meal and a graduation surprise party. But what I want you to believe is, and I'm not trying to sell you on this, for $250 a month, you get an entire real estate agent in a box. Everything that we have found, and as best as we could do it in this way. Doesn't mean it's perfect, and we'll keep getting better with it. But if you want to be able to track what your people are doing and give them meaningful information and understand how to help them at each stage of the life cycle and send them back to your website as they go and get engaged with what you can offer them as a professional real estate agent, and you feel like you don't have that, we have it. It's here. We've got the book that goes with it, the classes, we've got everything you need. And instead of charging you several $1,000s, we're charging you $250 a month for it. And if you're doing 2 to 3 deals a month, you do half of one deal in 1 year and it pays that whole year. I want to help you get there. I'm not trying to sell you. That's not my goal. It's just to sell on this. We didn't even want to be resellers of any software. We're not trying to. We just want to help us and you get to 2 to 3 deals a month and $15,000 to $20,000 a year or a month in residual income within 10 years. This is how we figured out how to do it, and we're still learning and growing. Come with us. We'd love to help you. Thank you so much for all this time that you spent with us, for sitting here so patiently as I ramble on and on and on about all sorts of different things. Hopefully it was of value at whatever level. I've enjoyed seeing all of your faces and enjoyed getting to know you a lot more.